Hello, thank you for joining us for Art Rocks with me, James Fox Smith from Country Roads magazine. We've all heard the old saying that the early bird catches the worm. So it stands to reason that if you want to catch the bird, you have to get up early indeed. Lafayette photographer Gary Meyers does that, rising hours before the sun to be in place to photograph wildlife at the golden hour, which is to say, right as dawn breaks. Here's Gary to explain why his passion for photographing Louisiana wildlife keeps getting him out of bed in the morning.
Welcome to my office. Living in Lafayette, I can go 80 miles in any direction, 100 miles at the most, and find a rookery or a place to shoot where birds are feeding. I like every aspect of birds. It's my favorite, whether they're feeding or fighting or breeding. There's just all kinds of things that they do, and I tend to lean toward action shots where they're doing something, their wings are in a certain position. I like the birds in flight shots, and in order to do that, you have to have a fast shutter speed. With digital photography, nowadays, everybody can go out and take a pretty decent picture, so you kind of have to have a niche specialty or something that's unique that kind of makes you stand out from the rest. Watching the birds and doing it for so many years, I know their habits and their mannerisms and what they're fixing to do, and the chicks are so different than the adults. And so just to watch them lay the eggs and they build a nest, and then the chicks hatch and then grow up, and it's just fun to watch and document through the whole cycle. I've been told I've had the patience of Job. Sometimes just sit there for hours waiting for something to happen. I don't use a tripod much, so I'm kind of with the camera up, waiting, holding. My arms will get tired, and inevitably when I finally get enough and put it down, that's when something happens. A lot of times I get lucky and catch the shot of whether it's a bird taking off or waiting for the parent bird to fly in and feed the baby and get those shots. A lot of patience is required. I've stuck myself in the middle of some woods and sitting down with spiders on me and snakes crawling by just to get a shot of a bobcat or a Louisiana black bear. So that's always fun and exciting, gets the adrenaline going. I recently did a series of pictures on birds landing, most of them egrets, some small birds, and then I did another series of them taking off. The takeoff shots, wings were up and fixing to push down for the thrust to leave the branch. And so you have to be ready for that shot. So I try to have my settings correct and just be ready for anything and everything. A lot of stuff is surprising. They just spur the moment, and if you have the right settings and you're quick, then you can get it. Other times I'm just focused on one thing and I just know kind of what that bird's gonna do, just from years and years of watching them and studying them. In wading bird rookeries, you have snowy egrets, cattle egrets, little blue herons, roseate spoonbills, great egrets, great blue herons. You also have yellow-crowned night herons, black-crowned night herons. And so all these birds kind of nest together. It's like a communal type thing. There's safety in numbers, and most of them nest where alligators are present. Alligators actually provide them protection. If there's alligators there, you get less predators swimming out to the trees and climbing and decimating the eggs, whether it's snakes or raccoons or whatever kind of a predator. The alligators actually protect them. Now they do get their share of food from the nests. So chicks will fight and dance around and try to get fed, and they get knocked out of the nest, or you might have one bird jump in and try to take over a nest from another species and knock the birds out. Nature is kind of brutal sometimes. Well, I spend a lot of time in photography. I go out as often as I can. A lot of people avoid shooting into the sun. I kind of do it on purpose sometimes just to get the backlit feathers and just a unique kind of picture. When the sun first comes over the horizon and it's shining on your subject that you're shooting, it's called the golden hour or golden light. That can be good because it gives you a little bit different hue on your birds. When it gets up a little higher, it starts getting brighter, and so you kind of change settings the whole time. You can go and shoot before daylight, but with low light like that, you have to have a high ISO and a slow shutter speed. And then late in the evening with the sunset, same thing, you just turn around and shoot the other way. We're sitting at PJF Farm near Ville Platte, and it's a working farm. It used to be known as Kazan's Lake. There's a rookery on the property here. The management has allowed people to come and shoot. They have fishing passes, they have photography passes, and you do have to pay to get in and shoot. There's a daily thing, there's a yearly membership. They've been kind enough to trust me with leading the photographers as their guide out into the rookery area to get close-up shots of the birds in the rookery. which is a fine line. You don't want to get too close and spook them off, but you want the people that are paying you to be able to get good shots. I love coming here. I go to Lake Martin, I go to Bayou Benoit in the Lafayette Basin, Henderson Lake, go down to Morgan City area for bald eagles, go down to the coast, Sycamore Point, Holly Beach for pelicans and shorebirds, and the other times of the year I just love shooting hummingbirds. It's the bees, it's the butterflies, it's the birds, it's the bear, it's the bobcats, it's the anything starts with a bee plus anything else wildlife. I just shoot anything and everything. It's just fun. I sell a few prints here and there. One of my favorite ones and most popular is one I call Flight Through Paradise, and it's a great egret, big white bird flying through Lake Martin with the cypress and the moss in the background. And they had the lily pads and the lotus flowers in the foreground. I've actually found this picture all over the internet, people using it as a background. I found sites offering it free for download for wallpaper for their computer. That's why I usually downsize my photos that I post online, so people can't really blow them up and make money. And then I have one with two egrets that are just kind of side by side, and they had the breeding plumage, all the pin feathers. They're on an angled log and they're both standing next to each other, and it's just kind of a unique picture with the breeding plumage. The roseate spoonbill is probably my favorite bird. It's only available in certain parts of the United States. People come from all over to see them. Very unique. One minute they're really graceful and the other minute they're really goofy. A lot of them are here year-round. They do nest here, which is fun to watch when they have their chicks, and they can get their mating colors, their breeding colors. Over the years, the birds kind of change yearly. One year you may have less than others. Every time we've had like a La Nina weather situation, they've been a little late. And when you have the El Nino one, they're about right on time. So a lot of that is just weather patterns. But there are less birds now than there used to be, and a lot of it's because of pesticides and habitat loss. But here in Louisiana, there's a lot of stuff that actually is showing up more, and that could be because of the climate. Birds like from a limpkin, which was never here in Louisiana until a few years ago, because we had these invasive apple snails. The limpkin eats apple snails, and so they showed up in Louisiana, and now they're getting pretty plentiful. They're nesting here now. We got the crested caracara, which was mostly a South American bird and mostly in Texas and South Florida, or they're in Louisiana now. So there's a lot of birds kind of showing up. I follow the birders. The birders are great for saying, oh, I saw this rare bird here, and they'll give the exact location, and sometimes I'll go chase them so I can get a picture of them. There was a ringed kingfisher in Lake Martin back in 2014 that one of the birders saw. I went and got a lot of good shots of that. It's supposed to be in South America and Mexico. A few sightings in South Texas, but the one here was the furthest east it's ever been seen, and it was at Lake Martin right in our backyard. I do a lot of the landscapes with the cypress and the moss. Those are real popular with the sunsets, and if it's got a bird in it, that's just an added bonus. That's my most popular. Social media is how you get noticed. I have a personal page, my Gary Meyers page, and then I have Image Hunter 1 page, which is just a business page. They're basically mirrors of each other. It's all photography. There's no religion, no politics. It's just pictures of wildlife. My Image Hunter 1 page, I've got 134,000 followers. I have probably 7, 8 external hard drives full of pictures. I've got thousands. I could quit taking pictures today and post one every day for the next 10 years. Sharing it with people really makes me happy, because some people can't get out and do it anymore. They just kind of live vicariously through you. You have pictures that they just enamored with, and like they kind of living it through you, and it just makes you feel good to be able to share it.